What's up, guys? We are back with another live episode. It's been a while since we did it live. Got Sabian in the meat box in the back, working it again. Feels like old times again. I'm extremely grateful because it's the first show with Javier Morales from All Tucson Sports. Give him that applause, Sabi. Yeah.
I
Mr.
have a fan
Morales, how
club.
you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me in the studio. I look forward to this whole season and talking football with you and other sports too. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Awesome. I appreciate it. And with the new football season comes new coaches, and we
Right.
have one of the newest coaches. It's his second time with Catalina Foothills.
Mhm.
Danny, Coach Danny, can you hear us, brother? He's in the green room. All right. Let me tell.
There
We'll
he is.
work
I
on that.
see him
Yeah.
right there.
Well, we'll work on that. Well, Sabian's working on that. We'll shoot him a text to get that going. Mr. Morales, talk about some of the highlights you have going this week. What's one game the fans should definitely look at?
Oh, Marana at Cell Point. Um, Cell Point wants to avenge that loss they had last year at Marana. They snapped their 27 game winning streak against Southern Arizona schools that went all the way back to 2017 when Jamari Joyner beat them at Cienega.
Yeah.
So that was a long time where they hadn't lost to a Southern Arizona school. So they want to get that win back, and they play at home.
Yeah.
Miranda's lost some players. They lost Desmond Roebuck, but they do have talent coming back. South Point has talent coming back. So I think it'll be a close game like it was last year. I think it'll be another game like that.
Yeah. Miranda had a big loss with Desmond Roebuck. Who are some of the guys that are taking up that mantle to help them be even better than what they were last year?
Colton Meyer is the quarterback. He threw for almost 4,000 yards last year at a high school level. That's unheard of.
Yeah.
I mean, especially for Southern area quarterbacks, it's hard. You rarely see like anybody go past 2,500, and he was close. He was like 3,700. So he's back. He's got Sean Roebuck,
The younger brother.
yeah, who I think is has a world of talent. He might actually be a better overall athlete than Desmond is, and I've heard people around the program talk about that. He's going to play quarterback next year, from what I understand, and he's going to be just a tough guy to tackle and to bring down. And he's got a
Wait, so you
a
say
live arm.
Sean Roebuck's
Sean
coming?
Roebuck, yeah.
Oh,
he's
shoot.
he's an athlete, like a receiver. He'll be receiver mostly, so he'll make a lot of big plays like his brother did last year.
What do you think the keys of victory for Marana and also the keys of victory for South Point?
The keys for victory for Cell Point is to get the most out of their two quarterbacks, Race Alvarez, Matthew Avalar. Get those guys rolling, just so it'll be harder for Marana's defense because they're two different types of players. Avalar is more of a rollout. He's got a strong arm. He's got a accurate arm, but he can beat you on the run also. And then Alvarez he didn't rush for a lot of yards last year, so he's got that drop back, pinpoint passing mentality.
Yeah.
So if those two guys are on top of their game, it'll be hard for Miranda to win. Miranda has good defensive players like Hayden Utley and Greg Webb. Gregory Webb's a linebacker, at least up on the line. Those guys are studs. So that's going to be a challenge for South Point, but this is what you would expect from two of the best teams in Southern Arizona. It'll be very competitive.
Yeah, and they're both coached by really good coaches. Coach Stu, he's really turned around that program.
Yeah,
They've always been great, but he's taken to the next level. I've been grateful enough to interview him a couple times, so I'm excited to see what they can do.
yeah. He's got an NFL and a Division I college background, playing at Houston. He played with the Rams. Very young, vivacious. Like he energizes anybody around him. Even if you're not a player and you're talking to him, you feel like you feel energy just the way he talks to you.
Yeah.
He relates well to the players that way, and his coaching staff. His coaching staff is some of them have been there for a while, and he relies on them in certain situations. But he's got a great offensive mind through his defensive background, if that makes sense, because he had to defend a lot of different types of offenses at Houston and in the NFL. So he gained knowledge of how a good offense should be run as a defensive player, and he's actually he runs the offense for Marana, even though he's a former linebacker.
Yeah.
So he's an up and coming coach. I hope he stays in Tucson, but he could coach anywhere. He can go back to Texas and coach and be successful.
Yeah,
He can
no,
be a college assistant and be successful, and then work his way up to a college head coach. He can do that if he really wanted to.
yeah. And I want to try. We're gonna try this one more time
Sure.
with Danny. Let's see if it works. Okay, we got him.
There he is.
What's up,
Can you
man?
can you hear us, brother?
Yeah, I got you. Can you get me?
Yeah, we got you, brother. It worked. Awesome. Hey, so Danny, I am here with Javier Morales, man. We just wanted to bring you in. This is your second stint with Catalina Foothills, brother. What's some of the things we get to look forward to this year?
Man, we got a young group. Definitely have a lot of talent. They're really eager to play, so we're going to be flying around a little bit. A little different group than past years.
Oh,
A little bit smaller in line. The first 3 years I was here, we had a
I
lot of big
can't hear
guys
him.
up front.
Oh, shoot.
Awesome.
How about
You
now,
know,
Javi? You got me?
yeah. So we're working on some audio stuff right now too. One of the questions I did have, man, what brought you back to Catalina? It was your second run with them now. What was I know you were at Senegal last year. What really came into the decision going back to Catalina Foothills?
It was one of those things, man. Right timing. I was in the military. I still am in the military, actually. Right before this interview, just getting off work. So, um, it was much more of a life ability to come back. Kind of how the circumstances worked out. They were looking for another coach, and we were able to make it work, man. I got to learn a lot under Coach Hargraves last year. He was actually my high school coach, so it was good to get that feedback from him and kind of learn a lot of like really good takeaways to rerun a program and be ready for it the second time.
Awesome. So what's one game that people need to look forward to most when watching you guys this year?
We have a lot of exciting games, man. Obviously, the first one coming up with Ironwood Ridge. They're a team coming off a lot of wins over the past few years under Coach Stott. So we're excited for tomorrow to get a chance. Obviously, North Canyon having a Phoenix team come down is always, a good chance to see where you're at. And then down the street, we got Push Ridge. We go up to them on a Thursday now. So we're pretty excited for those first three and kind of see where we're at. Kind of test out where the program's headed right now with a group of kids that they're really hungry to win, man. So hopefully we can get some of these games figured out.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you for joining us for just a quick second. Good luck. You guys play tomorrow, correct?
Yeah, tomorrow at 7:00.
Awesome. Thank you, brother.
All right, boss. Appreciate it.
We will work on the audio stuff. Like I said, this is the first one,
Yeah.
so I appreciate it. Just gotta move with the jabs.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that matchup a little bit. It is Catalina Foothills, and I think, if I'm correct,
Ironwood Ridge. They're Signs is a proven coach. As far as he was at Saguaro for like 10 years as the line coach, and they produced some good linemen.
yeah.
And then he went to Catalina Foothills. He kind of revitalized that coming off Jeff Skern. He kept that offensive mindset going. There were some good quarterbacks. Then he went to Cienega as the offensive coordinator last year while he worked on National Guard, and he had some military obligations that he had to take care of. So he didn't have enough time to stay as a head coach, but he could be an assistant coach and show up for the practices for here and there. So he in Cienega had a great offense last year with Julian Hanley and some of the other guys there. So he's a proven offensive mind, and I think that they're going to need that because they lost Jacob Ford, their quarterback, who I was really impressed with last year. He graduated, so there's some unknown there. A quarterback, how good they're going to be there, but I'm sure with his direction, we're going to see somebody step up as a prospect. So that their offense will be something to look at. I'm not too sure about their defense. I know they have some seniors back on defense, so we'll see. I know they had a rough year last year. There was a transition. This is going to be their third, second coach, but third coaching change in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
It's because they had Greg McKinstry take over for him, and then now he's coming back. So there's some changes. So they have to deal with that, some transition. And then for Ironwood Ridge, they're coming off another good year. They've had a really good couple of good years under Dale Stott. They have Jalen Martinez back, the quarterback, very good quarterback. So it's going to be another one of those. It's going to be kind of like maybe not as much as Sell Point and Marana, but it's going to be an offensive game.
Yeah.
You'll see a lot of passing. So in that sense, it should be pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll do the same thing we did for the last one. What are the keys to victory for Ironwood and also Catalina Foothills?
For Ironwood, it's going to be, you know, coming out and establishing a running game. I know they had some difficulty with that last year because they need to take pressure off Martinez because he got hurt. He got hit a lot, and he eventually got hurt, and he lost that last game. He got knocked out. So they need to do a better job of protecting him, balancing stuff out with the running game because they relied on him too much, and he ran a lot too. Because he's just a versatile athlete, but they gotta protect him. So as long as he's not getting sacked and having to rush and all that, they have a good chance of beating Catalina Foothills because Catalina Foothills is going to still try to find its way back now with Signs back. So it'll take them a little bit to get back on the same page and all that. So I think if Iron Ridge comes out and just dominates on the line, let Martinez do his thing, get the running game going, I think they'll be in good shape.
Awesome. Now we move on to Cienega versus the Buena Colts. Tell us what you think about that matchup and some players that we need to look forward to watching.
Well, Cienega, like I mentioned before, they have Hanley back. He's a senior. Threw for about 1,600 yards last year, and he had about 16, if I'm not mistaken, 13 touchdown passes. So kind of like, not outstanding numbers, but good, especially for him being as a first-year kind of starter. So he got the system down under Signs. Of course, there's going to be a coaching change there, so he's going to be working under another offense coordinator. But Jaden Rogers, when I saw him play last year, he's a tall receiver, a good target. He'll be playing college somewhere. And then they have a couple good defensive players. Davion Ross is a linebacker with good size. Andre Davis Lopez is a defensive end who was all-region, all-conference kind of pick last year. So they have a couple of really good defensive players. So I think they're going to need to get those guys to play at a top level and lead the others because Buena is loaded again.
Yeah, and they're coming off a 9-3 season last year.
Yeah.
Buena doesn't really get the credit they deserve for being a little away from Southern Arizona a little bit.
Right.
But they're a team they're a team that could have a big playoff run. I remember watching them last year, man. They're sneaky.
Oh, they are. They lost their quarterback, but they have a quarterback that started at Walden Grove come in as a transfer, and he had a really good year last year. Had almost 2,000 yards passing. Had 19 touchdown passes. Caleb Layton.
And will he have to sit out the 5 games and stuff?
No, they appealed because his family moved from Sarita to Sierra Vista, so he can't really be penalized because there's a move there from the family, and it's just not like him moving; it's a whole family move there.
Awesome.
So he got his appeal. He's going to play the whole 10 regular season games. They have a good running back in Michael Lujan. They have great linemen. They have a lot of returning linemen coming back. Their defense, is going to be solid again with Cooper Cross as a linebacker. He's getting a lot of attention from colleges. Jaden Thomas, Joe Thomas's son, the head coach, he's the top returning receiver in the Southern Arizona. He's the only returning receiver that had more than 1,000 yards coming back from last year. So he's a heck of a talent. Great track athlete. So he's quick, he's athletic. I think him and Layton are going to match up pretty well.
Yeah.
So it's going to be, and then they have a strong running back in Lujan who's going to take that pressure off of Layton and run behind that big offensive line that they have. I don't know if you've seen Buena's schedule, but their schedule is one of the toughest in the state.
Yeah, it's at Sonoran Conference, correct?
Yeah, they play. They're playing a game like this, Cienega, which is a good team, but they're going to host. Actually, they're hosting ALA Gilbert North. And and they're hosting Mesa Mountain View. Those are like powerhouse programs from Phoenix area. They got them to come to Sierra Vista, so those are going to be 2 huge games. And the Mountain View game is like past halfway point of the season.
Yeah. No, that's going to be incredible to watch. You mentioned Mountain View, and I'm wearing the hat because I'm an alumni. Tucson High versus Mountain View. Tucson High had a great year last year, winning a playoff game for the first time in 35 years. Right. Coach Zach over there is really changing the culture. Give us a rundown of that matchup.
Well, I like the pieces that Tucson High has. They're all experienced now. They've been through some tough times, so they've kind of weathered that together. So that's built a bond. And they got some success last year, so now they they went from being not sure about the stability of the program, like when they were freshmen and sophomores, to now thinking they can win a state championship,
Yeah.
which in a short time, because a lot of them played as freshmen because it was wide open that year with a different coach. So they were able to go in there and play like Noah Chanez and
Yeah.
Derek Mesa, some of the others, and I think that's what excites me about Tucson High is they have the experience now, they have the confidence to take it another level because, like you said, they won a playoff game for the first time since 1971 or something like that, something crazy like that. So it's on the right path, and this is how Tucson High should be every year, given their enrollment, given their magnet status.
Yeah.
They should have a top 5A to 6A team every year, and now we're seeing that. And then next week is another big game because they host Cell Point.
Yeah, that's I know Coach Zach is extremely excited for that one.
Like he was a former Cell Point running back
Yeah.
coach. He coached a lot of great running backs over there, like Bijan. So he's got it in the right path. The thing I want to see is like TUSD meet that and understand how special Tucson High and some of these other TUSD programs can be by putting more of an emphasis on equipment, facilities, just to make students feel more like they want to be part of it. And that's a big thing, as you know, being an athlete, you're a former athlete, right? Is that you want to go into like a nice weight room. You want to go into a nice facility. You play baseball, so a nice batting facility. If it's dilapidated and you're missing some equipment, it's kind of brings you down, right? And they've had to deal with that. I remember going to Tucson High games, and there was players with like 3 or 4 different color helmets because they had to
Well, I remember
borrow that.
I remember there was a time the freshmen would have to share their jerseys with the JV team at a point.
Yeah, it's kind of like why? Let's put more of an emphasis on it. I know there's the academic pushback, like they need to put more emphasis on academics, of course, but athletics. A lot of these student athletes are going to school to be athletes, and that tool is allowing them to go in the classroom and learn more.
Yeah.
It's a draw that's necessary.
It gives them a purpose because if you don't have any purpose and your grades are bad, nothing happens. But all of a sudden you can't play on Friday Night Lights. It's like, oh man, I gotta hit the books a little bit more.
Right, and it helps their self-esteem, helps their social interactions. I think it's healthy for them to have these avenues outside of academics at a school. We always stress, like I teach at Sunnyside High School, we also always stress the students, do more than just go to class. Try to be in a club. Try to do something after school. Be proactive about it because in the long run, that's going to help you after you graduate and when you go on to college and so forth. So,
which is the main goal for any coach. It's not
Right.
always about the wins and losses on the field. It's about the wins and losses you have after they're done playing a sport.
yeah, so it's exciting to see what Tucson High is doing, and that now that TUSD is actually putting turf fields like on Sabino's Field and Pueblo's Field,
Yeah.
and I think they're going to do 2 TUSD schools every 2 years, every other year. So I think that's a step in the right direction.
Yeah. Hit that applause for that one, brother.
Yeah, so it's a welcome sight, and I don't know what it's going to mean to like put programs like Catalina and Palo Verde, Santa Rita. I went to the Catalina Santa Rita game last week, and it was tough to watch. To be honest with you, Catalina only had 16 players suit up because they have like 9 players academically ineligible.
Oh shoot.
Yeah, and then let's see, Santa Rita had about 25 to 26, but it seemed like they were guys who just starting out playing football.
Yeah.
And they don't have a football background. That puts a lot of pressure on the coach because they have to teach the game and coach it instead of just coach it. A lot of these programs, they have players who've played youth football since they were 5 years old.
You look at sophomore. For example, look at the Hamilton versus Miranda game.
Mm-hmm.
They had a roster of guys, and every single one of them probably started at another varsity, low level varsity.
Right.
But it's a gauntlet of guys, and it's hard to compete when you only got 16, 19 guys, like you said.
Yeah, it's you could tell the difference. Like I'm gonna go from that game to like Cienega Buena, and I'm gonna see the difference of seeing a program that has a JV program, a freshman program. I don't think either one of the Catalina or Santa Rita do. which is unfortunate. So, yeah, it's something that TUSD has to address. It's a long-standing problem ever since the Vail schools showed up on the east side of Tucson. It's really taken away from Santa Rita. What Santa Rita and Palo Verde were playing for state championships like 15 years ago or less.
You look at Coach Danny from Cali Foothills. He went to Santa Rita.
Right, exactly. He was in a state championship game.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's changed a lot because of those Vail schools. So they have to look at. I know some people have saying make co-op team, like put them together, but that's difficult because you're playing for two different schools.
Yeah.
And I don't know, being an athlete, that's got to be kind of
No, I wouldn't like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the answer to that is you got to start putting it in your middle schools. So
Right, you have to have a feeder system.
Yeah, feeder system, because you look at Sunnyside, like for wrestling, for example, a lot of middle schools have wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
So they're gearing them up from sixth grade to when they get in high school. They know I'm going to Sunnyside to wrestle.
Right.
Tucson High's done a good job in that, using the club ball avenue, keeping kids together. But and it's hard when you're in middle school and the only sport you have is something you'll never play.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I know what you're talking about Sunnyside because I was at Gallego, and I saw the Sunnyside presence, the coaches, and some of the former or current wrestlers and some former wrestlers going over there and watching the middle school wrestling. So it's always like a Sunnyside presence there, and those guys that are coming up through middle school are really good.
Yeah,
So it's just like a continual process.
yeah, their community's strong.
Right.
And then going back to my community, Tucson High, talk a little bit about their matchup with the Mountain View. We talked about Tucson High. Let's hear
Right.
what do you think about Mountain View and what do they need to do to get the victory against Tucson High?
They need to limit mistakes on offense. That's their question point because they have another new quarterback. I think they've had a new quarterback in the last 3 years. Like it's been one quarterback, then another, and then now another. But their defense is good. They have 6 guys who had more than 40 tackles coming back. Jason Pogue, their linebacker, is really good. So it's their and you want a good defense. It all starts with defense. So if your defense is really good, it'll give you some time to get your offense going. So and Tucson High has a really good offense with like Noah Chanez coming out of the backfield.
A Jet guy as well.
Jet guy, longtime Jet guy. I remember interviewing him outside of Jet when he was a freshman at Tucson High. I did a story about them trying to get through the difficulty of a winless season, and now I'm interviewing him about winning a state championship. It's great to see that he has that chance instead of like him leaving. Then they have a chance to go to state championship. Yeah. So he's one of the guys who helped build it up this way. So yeah, Mountain View will have to limit mistakes on offense and be as good as they can be on defense. They have a chance. That's not to say that they can't win, but I think Tucson High just has so much firepower on both sides of the ball. They have a lot of talent. Yeah. So it's going to be Ezra Spivey, Nathan Spivey's younger brother. He's amazing. He's only a sophomore, and he's one of the best defensive backs in the state. Yeah, he could be at any program in the state. He can be, like you said, Frank. He can be playing for Hamilton, or wherever. He can playing for Mountain View or Mesa Mountain View. So, yeah. So it's good to see Tucson High getting those players because his brother went to South Point, so he didn't go to South Point. He went to Tucson High. So you're going to see more and more of that as long as Neville is coaching there. Yeah, you're going to see more like those type of players gravitating towards Tucson High.
Yeah, because like I said, like what we've talked about before, he's changing the culture.
Yeah, and I think it has to do with him being a youthful presence, kind of like Philip Stewart, where players can relate to you more. Matt Johnson, who's at Mountain View, he's like the dean of coaches now in Southern Arizona. He's coached for more than 20 years, or about 20 years as a head coach, and. But he relates well too because he's a bodybuilder. He works with them in the weight room. He runs a weight class during school. So in that way he keeps connected with them. So it's all about connection and having the players rally behind you. Yeah. So I mean you could be the greatest X and O guy, but if you don't relate well to your players, it won't mean anything.
Yep. So and we'll go to something you relate to for the Sunnyside versus Vista Grande matchup. Talk slow about that. What do we got to look forward to?
It's going to be a tough game for Sunnyside because first of all it's on the road. Vista Grande's coming off a couple good years. I know they lost their quarterback, so they'll be trying a new quarterback there. Um, Sunnyside does have some talent, and they have some good offensive linemen or linemen. And overall, they have some really good size. So it'll be interesting to see how that relates to like being able to gain some yards because their offense was good last year, but not always productive.
Yeah, because they had a 3-7 record.
Yeah.
Not the best record, but what do you think different about this year going in?
I think just being able to have that, like I said, that line. I've talked to Coach Romack, and he feels like he had a really young team last year, and he feels like that experience is going to parlay into more wins. I don't know if that's going to be only two more wins or three more wins, but it's going to be having them be more competitive. Um, they're kind of like one of those mystery teams. They went 3-7. They lost some good players, so we'll see how they transition with some newer players. Um, you know, I think Desert View right now is a little bit more ahead of them. They beat them last year in overtime in the last game of the season.
Yeah.
And Desert View has some really good talent coming back.
Yeah, and they will be playing Sunrise Mountain this week.
Right. So out of those district schools right now, it's been up and down. Like Sunnyside's better, Desert View, especially lately, because Sunnyside used to dominate every year, but now it's been back and forth, and it's going to be that way again. They play up in Sunrise Mountain. He said, so they have to go up north. And whenever you're going to Phoenix, like the first game of the year, you have to deal with the bus trip there. You might have to deal with some weather issues. I know that's happened before where you have to be delayed because of lightning, especially right now with the monsoons toward the end. So you might have to deal with that. I know South Point had to deal with that a couple years ago. They didn't get home till like after 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah,
because I think it was at Mesa Red Mountain or something like that. They had to wait till they didn't resume the game till like almost past 9:30. So you might have to deal with that kind of stuff with the weather that it is right now. So those Phoenix games, first game of the year, are really tough.
yeah. You never know what to expect with those.
Yeah,
Awesome.
and a lot of players haven't experienced that.
Yeah.
You're dealing with some sophomores, juniors that might have never had to deal with that before.
Now they're on that. Hopefully they don't get a bus. They get the nice vans. Hopefully.
Yeah. Well, I think it's more and more schools are getting the nicer ones, the white buses instead of the yellow buses,
Yeah.
school buses. Yeah. So it's that. That I think that's better for the trip back than the trip up there, because those trip back to Tucson can be really tough, especially after a loss.
Yeah. Oh no, I remember driving back to Tucson after losing the state championship game my freshman year. Those bus rides suck.
Yeah.
Just quiet. No one wants to talk, and especially if you're in an actual yellow bus, you're just like, just get me out of here at this point.
Yeah, you feel like a sardine, right? Those things.
Yeah.
Especially if you're big line. Can you imagine linemen?
Oh man, I'm happy I'm only 5'7". So another matchup we have, and it's a brand new first year coach at CDO versus Trevor Brown
Up in Phoenix too.
up in Phoenix.
Yeah.
Yes, give us a little rundown on that.
Well, it's Scott McKee. It's actually it's his second year at CDO, but he's had a long background with coaching at Pueblo and Saguaro as a head coach, and he also was an assistant to Dustin Peace when they won the state championship. He was like the associate head coach. So he does have a lot of good experience. And being at CDO, he was at Saguaro, and I know that he had some issues with TUSD, with making sure that he had support and all that. But at CDO, he feels like he's getting more of it, and he's getting players that want to be there, and he's getting families that want their sons to play at CDO. So it's more of like a family atmosphere there. He really likes it. They're coming off a tough year. They end up going to the playoffs, which kind of surprised me because they lost so many seniors from that 14-0 team that won the championship. If for Scott McKee to get them back in the playoffs, I know they lost the first game, but
they had a 6-5 record going in. Yeah,
that bodes well. And I think they have some good defensive backs coming back. I think they have some skilled players that are going to be good. They did lose some guys on the defensive line and some linebackers that they'll have to replace, but I think that they'll be competitive. Now they moved up to the 5A though, so
Yeah.
they're no longer in the 4A Keno. They're in that tough 5A region
5A
too.
Sonoran.
Yeah, they're in that's kind of a tough draw for Scott McKee, but what are you going to do? You can't you know dwell on it or be afraid of it. You got to attack it. So I think this will be a good first game because Trevor Brown is not. I think they had a losing record
Yeah,
last year
they
too.
went 2-8 last year. They're a
Yeah.
3A school.
Right.
So it's a good warm up game for them.
These are the kind of games you don't mind going to Phoenix for.
Yeah, because you know what, more likely you know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, and the kids will be more and more confident. And, yeah. So I think it'll be a good experience for CDO.
Awesome. So next one, we talked about how more schools are getting brand new turf. Let's talk a little bit about Pueblo High School and their matchup this week.
Sly Lewis,
Yep,
head coach.
Yep.
He's like the Philip Stewart and Zach Nevileff. He's younger. He won't say he's young, but to me, he seems like he's young.
I know. I remember last year, man. He's walking out with the belt after beating Choya.
Yeah.
He just has that. He's a young soul in the way how they say it.
Ryan McRae is the same way. So he coached with him for a long time. I think he coached with Jay Campos before that over at Sabino. So you got to anytime you have a coach like that, you're going to get the most out of your guys. And I think they had a tough year last year because it was his first year, and it's a transition from Jake Allen, who's a good coach, but they have different styles. So I think Sly with another year and the turf field, a lot of pride in that program and that Pueblo program. You can see things turning around. They play at Sunnyside next week. I think that's going to be a big South Side game.
Yeah, that's a Warrior Block one. I remember when my dad was principal at Pueblo, that was one that everyone was hyped for.
Yeah, so that's one game to circle. There's gonna be a lot of games here the early season that you want to circle the calendar for.
And they're in Yunker, I think that's what it is.
Yunker.
Yeah,
I think it's a Yuma area.
I think it's a Yuma area. They'll be playing over there, so should be a good first one for them.
Yeah, another long trip. And I get it. I get it why some of these coaches and admins want to do that because it kind of bonds some teams together. And it's a challenge right off the bat.
Yeah.
So it gets them going rather than playing at home your first 3 games at home, and then go on the road. I think that's a tough scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who are some of the guys we should look forward to for Pueblo as well? Some of their up and coming stars.
They have different skill position players. I know that he transitioned a lot, trying to find the right players there. I can't remember them by name, but I know their running back was really good last year. And they're Carpenter, I think his name was. Yeah, I think they're. I'm not sure if he's back or not, but they have a lot of good skill position players, good linemen, from what I can remember. So I think more balance. They'll be more balanced on offense and defense. Their passing game really struggled last year.
Yeah.
They had a new quarterback. He's going to be back, so I think that extra year will help him. And I think with Sly Lewis's, his offensive mind, because he ran a lot of the offenses there at Sabino, running with Cam Hackworth and Shamar Berryhill and those guys. He was coaching them. I think with his knowledge, he'll get Pueblo to be that kind of offensive team.
Get back to where they were in the 2014s, 2015s.
Right. Yeah.
You talked about Ray Campos. He's a new head coach at Micah Mountain High School. Talk a little bit about their matchup against Butte.
Yeah, that's one game I'm going to go to, so I'm looking forward to that. It's funny, they played Post and Butte 3. This will be the 3rd time in a row, a season opener. They beat them at Post and Butte last year, or 2 years ago, and then they beat them at home, and then they played them again. So I think they're Jay Campos, it's a new coach, but he's a proven coach. He coached 14 years at Sabino, took them to 4 state championship games, didn't win it, but to take them that 4 times to a state championship game, that says something about him. And I think it eases the transition from Pat Nugent, losing Pat Nugent. I think having a guy like Jay Campos there really smooths out the transition. They have some good players still. Broden Schmidt, linebacker, Riley Carson. He can do everything. He's kind of like a Noah Chavez. He can catch the ball. He can defend it. He can, he's also a really quality kicker. He can play for even a D1 school as a kicker. So he's got that wide range of skill. So they have some really good seniors, a core of seniors coming back.
Yeah.
They do lose a lot. They lost 28 seniors, I believe, but I think they can bounce back. I don't know if they can go as far as they did last year, but I think they can make the playoffs and be competitive in their region. So
No, I believe in. I mean, they got all-star coaches there as well, with Richard Sanchez being there too.
oh yeah, there's another coach with some state championships, right? A couple at Sunnyside,
Yeah.
and he's a guy who demands everything out of you, but he'll be one of the first coaches to pat you on the back if you do a good play or if you do something that you're supposed to do. He's one of those guys, and I think the players love playing for him.
Yeah.
Because they know they have to work their butts off, and if they do, then they'll see some appreciation from him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a little hardcore, but you can tell he cares.
Oh yeah, very much.
Yep.
And I enjoy seeing him at games before games and talking to him because he's so knowledgeable and he knows everything that's going around Tucson, and he's very conscious of like this community of what's going on around here with the football and other issues. So he's really I'm glad that he got the Hall of Fame honor because he deserves it because of all that he's done here in Southern
Football
Arizona.
and wrestling.
Yeah, I mean he's just a legend, and for him to be to not think too much of himself that way and to be an offensive line coach, I think that says a whole lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So now we go to what's your dark horse game of the week? People that one that's not getting a lot of hype to it, but one that you think everyone should tune in and pay attention to.
For this week,
Yep.
there's some interesting games. There's Saguaro at Empire. Empire has been competitive the last 3 years under George Kelly. Saguaro's trying to climb up that ladder in the 4A conference under Al Alexander. Two good coaches right there, Al Alexander and George Kelly. I think that's games under the radar. I think Empire is always under the radar, playing in the shadow of Michael Mountain and Cienega. Yeah. But I think that could be a competitive game.
And then another one I was just looking at, I want to make sure I have this right, is Walden Grove versus Sahuarita this week as well.
That's a huge game.
Yeah,
that's
your 49ers kind of versus Raiders kind of rivalry right there.
Yeah, that's another one, a rivalry that hasn't been played a lot because they're in different conferences for one thing, and they've had some real animosity in previous years. Yeah. I think they didn't play from like 2015 to 2022. There was like 7 years they didn't play
because they couldn't because it was like a MMA match afterwards.
Right. Yeah. It was there was something happened in the stands. If I can remember Corey Noble talking to me about it. Something happened in the stands between fans in the 2015 game, and they just decided to put it on pause. And they came back in 2022, and then Walden Grove blew them out like 59-0.
Yeah.
So I think Sahuarita had a great year last year. They had 8 games. They didn't make the playoffs because their power points weren't high enough.
Yeah, they were 6-0 in the region as well.
Yeah, so I think that's part of the reason why Jake Allen, the coach there, wants to schedule games like this, like Walden Grove, some other tough games. I think they play Micah Mountain out of region.
Yeah.
So I think those will help him now. I don't, I like Jake Allen a lot. I like Sahuarita a lot, but this is a tough order because Walden Grove is good year after year after year under Corey Noble. I know they lost their quarterback, but I think Corey Noble likes the quarterback they have coming in that was played under Caleb last year. So I think, and they have Stephen Valdez Jr., the big-time tight end, defensive end. A big guy like that who's a leader will really get the guys going. So I anticipate the Walden Grove will have just another year like they usually do.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm gonna ask you this: who's your MVP for a player for week 2?
After week 2,
who's your prediction for defensive player of the week and offensive player of the week?
Defensive player of the week. Well, you got to look at the big game. So, maybe defensive player of the week. I'm thinking Cell Point or the Tucson High game. Nobody talks about Noah Bonnier that much, the defensive tackle at Cell Point. Of course, for him to be player of the week, he has to get a lot of sacks or tackles. That might be tough to do because Moreno's that quick release offense with Colton Meyer. But I would let me say that I think the Ezra Spivey, somebody from Tucson High's defense, is going to have a big game against Mountain View.
Love it.
Because Mountain View is still trying to find itself on offense. They're going to try to pass it. So I think let me say Ezra Spivey right off the bat because he's a playmaker. So defensive player of the week, I would look at it, somebody like that. Offensive player of the week, boy, I think Sell Point's gonna. I'll probably get some random people that hate me, but I think Sell Point will get that revenge. So I think you look at one of their quarterbacks, might have a big game and really stand out.
Yeah.
I think Avalar is ready to really bust loose. He had some great. He had a great game against Miranda last year. He had over 200 yards passing. So, boy, there's so many. It's so new. There's so many things new this year. So it's hard to really make a concrete pick like that. But I would say, let's see what Avalar has to do. On the other side, there's Colton Meyer. So if Miranda wins, I think he's gonna have to have a big game.
Yep.
So I think it can come down to those two positions.
Awesome.
Yeah.
No, I'm excited to watch. I'm like we'll be there on the sidelines covering that game as well.
Great.
Is there any other highlights that you think we need to cover real quick before we go into week 2? We do have Amphi Nogales. That's going to be another one. Both teams are trying to turn the table a little bit.
Yeah, Sabino comes back home after that tough loss last weekend at Valley Christian. So I think them playing at home will help them rebound. They have some good players there. They're playing Gilbert Christian, who traditionally is a really good program. So the last thing Sabino wants to do is start 0-2, and they're playing on their new turf.
Yeah.
So I think they want to come out strong on that. They took Valley Christian to the wire, so on the road. So I think that's something to look at. That's a game that's
another game to watch right there.
Game to watch that maybe not too many people are talking about. Well, Cam Middleton, he's one of the best coaches in town, even though this is only his 6th year, I think, at Push Ridge. He's already won a state championship. They're good year after year, even though they lose seniors, like really good seniors.
Yeah.
So after losing so many, I think they lost 20 seniors from last year's team. They put 53 points on Santan Foothills. Now, I don't know how good Santan Foothills is, but to come out that strong shows you that they're well coached, well prepared.
Yeah.
I think he's 2 wins away from 50 wins already, and it's his 6th year.
Dang.
So he's got a great coaching staff around him, but he's a proven winner. So I know they play on the road this week again at ALI Ironwood. That team's coming off a loss, so they could start out 2-0 after losing so many seniors off that team. But they've lost seniors every year, impact seniors every year, and it seems like they just reload. Under Middleton.
They must have a feeder program. Good.
They do. They have a good JV program, and they put a lot of emphasis in their JV program.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they have a freshman program, but it could be combined freshman JV.
Yeah.
And but they do take a lot of pride in that team, and they have like 3 or 4 coaches on their varsity staff that coach that team, and they're very impactful on the varsity staff too. So yeah, they put a lot of stock in that.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
Let's see, just to make sure we get all the big games.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really excited for that Tucson High versus Mountain View one. That one's gonna be cool. I know we won't be able to watch, but just the idea that my Tucson High Badgers are up and running again, back being the big red machine is awesome.
Yeah, they want to make a statement, right? Yeah, they want to make a statement like last year was real. It's not a fluke, and I think they will against Mountain View. Who I like Matt Johnson as a coach, and like I said, their defense is going to be stacked. They got to like every team, they have to stay healthy on defense to have a shot to win more games than lose games this year, because their offense it's struggled the last couple of years. Their offense has. They've had decent running backs, but they haven't had really a passing game to go with it. So yeah, I'm excited about that game too. I know it's one of the bigger games. It's gonna be at Tucson High.
Yep.
Their former region rivals, right? And now they're in different regions. I think Tucson's in the Sonoran and Mountain View's in the southern.
Santran.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're in different regions now, but it's good that they're playing each other. I know Nevilev. It's you have that Cell Point game the next week, so you got to keep your mind off that and concentrate on this one.
Yeah.
But these are young guys, and they're thinking, we need to get this win to make next week even bigger. So,
Awesome.
but they got to be thinking just about this game though, and I know it's hard knowing that Cell Point's around the corner at their place.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a big, probably the biggest game at Tucson High in the regular season. Since who knows when? Because I know they play Bijan and Cell Point, but Tucson High's teams weren't.
They weren't. It wasn't even at Tucson High at that point. That's when it was at Keno.
Yeah, they Tucson High was competitive under Argraves, but they didn't have that, like a 9-win, 10-win type of potential that Tucson High does this year.
Now they're a little they're gritty now. They know it can be done.
Right.
That's awesome. All right, Mr. Morales. I think we've covered everything.
Yeah, I think next week I'll be more prepared because we'll see what happens more from these schools. We'll see more of the names that stand out that maybe we haven't heard before.
Yep.
So I think we'll have a lot more to be talking about and know about. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm glad you're putting this together. I really appreciate you and Bobby, being forward thinkers and doing this. And we're looking forward to it. Maybe I'll get my brother to join us.
Everyone and anyone, brother.
Yeah.
Tell you this, we got the CDO coach calling in next week as well.
Good. Scott McKee.
Yeah, we'll have that set up and everything. Like I said, I appreciate it. At the end of the day, we're just teaming up. That way we highlight all the community, all the athletes out there, because, that's what I want to do. I want to make sure everyone has their fame that they deserve.
Yeah, and your guys are doing a great job doing that with both social media, with Instagram, and doing this. And I know a lot of people watch because there's a lot of families involved.
Yep.
It's like a tree. You have the player, and then it goes to the parents, the grandparents, the uncles, cousins, and it just balloons of the interest of these players.
Yep.
And I think that's why this is important, right? Like you said, community. The coverage of high school sports has really gone down over the last, I would say 10, 15 years. The daily coverage of it. We're trying to do the best we can. You're trying to do the best you can to keep those athletes out there in the public eye because they deserve it. And we'll keep trying. And I know the TV stations are coming out to games, so that's good to see them go to like 4 or 5 high school football games on Friday nights. Yep. So we'll keep trying to get these athletes' names, female and male, with flag football coming up. I'm sure we'll be talking about flag football too.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So
awesome. Well, thank you, guys. We'll see you next week. We're gonna keep the same time. I think Wednesday at 4:00. We'll see you guys next time. Make sure you tune in from Miranda versus South Point on our Instagram. Make sure you tune in all Tucson Sports for all their coverage this week as well. Thank you, Mr. Morales.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys next week. Peace.